Okay, it's going to be an unashamedly slow start here as I roll a cigarette and think about my day and think about this bit of code at the same time. Oh dear. So I've accepted that I have my own ImageRect class and that I have had to make those parts of the Mojo canvas class public so that I can just access them, because it'll allow me to, like, basically what it's allowing me to do is cache texture coordinates without having to figure them out all complicated each time, and draw shapes I want without having to do a tremendous amount of casting. And it's really possible that I'm just missing something about Mojo. It happens constantly that I think I understand something, I just don't. But according to what I understand, I'm going to be a lot faster. Well, going to be a bit faster if I just accept that I am going to start draw operations and pass vertices myself. And the add draw op, like, what am I really, just as I'm rolling, at least I can move to somewhere. Add draw op, yeah, add vertex and add draw op. These are my two newly public things. I hope that hasn't caused any other problems. I don't think it has. If it has, anyway, add draw op. If you're sitting looking at that code as I look at the cigarette I'm rolling, you can see that built into it is functionality to group all possible draw operations together, so that no state changes take place unnecessarily. Only if there's a change in shader, material, blend mode, or overall shape being drawn, order as they call it. Anyway, God, I'm filling time as I roll and refreshing my own brain. The next thing is, yeah, I'm accepting that I'm using add draw op and add vertex. So built into add draw op and all that functionality is the fact that it'll be fairly efficient when it draws. In my, I don't know if efficient's the word, it's fairly, as much as I read through it, it seemed elegant, you know, seemed nice. Anyway, witter. Also, if I accept that this is the way I'm doing it, this is more associated with the way I used to do it with vertex and add draw being public, it does make it much more powerful in a way. I can minimize matrix operations for large numbers of associated objects. X, Y, width, height. And width can equal 1.0 and height can equal 1.0. Now, I should also have a new, I guess I can do this. X int equals 0, comma, Y int equals 0, comma, equals 1, comma, height int equals 1. Width and height are wrong there. But there are basically two ways of determining, also I will need to, I guess, pass an image. Do I want to say you have to have loaded an image before you define an image rect associated? Do I want to be able to define an image rect without an image? Yes. I image equals null. Okay, yeah. And I image equals null. These things are going to be designed to work in conjunction with the system class. And if you create an image rect with null images, I will have that default image that I'll draw from, that I spoke about, which I may get on to making quite soon. We'll see. The mail is here. I'm very much expecting something, so excuse me while I look out the window, see where the mailman is. Anyway, I get enough distractions without distracting myself more. These could be said to represent two ways of defining the image, the rectangle. One, in floating point coordinates, so that the texture the way that OpenGL, I guess, or the graphics library would represent the texture, running from 0, 0 to 1, 1. I think that's right, top left to bottom right, although actually maybe that's not right, maybe that's minus 1. No, I think it is 0, 0 to 1, 1. With 1, 1 being the bottom right, I think, of the texture, or using integers so that you're determining pixel values. Ultimately these have to be floats, or these at least have to be floats, because it is what I feed into add vertex will be in texture coordinates. What are they called? Unit coordinates? I can't remember. The next thing. Momentary break. Here. Okay, and back from that instantaneous break, which was taken for no good reason. Yeah, these two ways of determining what an image is. Now, this one is easier, because usually I'll have an image open in an image editor and can see, can pinpoint the boundaries of a frame in pixels, which is really what I want. But actually sometimes x2, y2 is easier there as well. Yeah. In fact, for now, I'm going to go with this. And I'm going to understand that I'm taking in integers, but I'm using them to find floating point variables. So I'll say width equals the float of w, height equals the float and that is it in pixels as well. That's just totally wrong. Do I need it's like, yeah, suppose I do. It's the width in pixels. Now, if not image, do one thing, else do something else. but it will be if not image, do one thing, then return. This is where I have to get serious about how I really handle resources. Or get serious is how I'm going to have to not get serious about it at all. Actually, that's the opposite of what I'm going to do. I'm going to faff around like an idiot. Sys. Part of sys involves the asset, which will be inside the asset. And as always, I've just 100% forgotten how this works. What have I got here? Managed objects, import there. Basically that is what I'm going to import, but it's not going to be those three things, it's going to be a single thing which is going to be default, just something called default. It'll contain a font and it'll contain some other things. Probably I'll use something from inside this. Oops. Oh, no, go away. Let's have a look. Products, Windows, assets. No? Okay, maybe that's not. Data, images. Okay, why is this nothing to do with what I want? Code, data, no, GUI pung. Okay, it's not really what I want. Code, managed objects, default material. Okay, this is just annoying. I know there's a thing I want and it's this. Go away. In fact, what needs to happen here is I am going to have to import or just pop over some stuff from my other code for picking out the font in particular. Probably Mojo's font stuff is perfect. Excuse me. This is all wrong. Probably Mojo's font stuff is perfect, but Editor 2020 is ancient, I think. Somehow. This is more like it. No, still totally wrong. Yeah, this is still totally wrong. How embarrassing. Once again, I'm going round in circles. No way is this actually the most... Surely it isn't. Why is there nothing in there? Why is this all like ancient stuff which has got nothing to do with anything? What am I even looking for? I remember why I'm such an idiot. Okay, well, you know, apologies for just being a complete twonk. called Jira Cursor. Products, Windows, Assets. Okay, not render one products. My slow and thick brain. GUI font. This FNT and GUI font 0 I think is fine. GUI icons, GUI material. You go away. You come in. That is what I want. This is a 1024 by 1024 image, which is a fine size for a texture. That's a complete ASCII set, pretty much. This little file here, GUI font, describes it in such a way that I have a piece of code that'll pick it out anyway. View. I am so sorry. Show grid. View. Snap to grid. Why am I being such an idiot? Why don't I see the configure grid button? Like, this is really idiotic. Sorry, it probably isn't that bad, is it? It's just what on earth? Right, 10 by 10. And I'm going to say 8 by 8. Am I? Line style. Why am I? Sorry. This again. This is just a nonsense of. It's a nonsense of a video because I'm just thinking literally as I am doing it, and that's not a good way. But what I'm thinking is what I've thought in the past. This is 8 by 8. MIP mapping means I end up wanting buffers between, little sort of few pixel wide buffers between objects, but I still want them to tend to be between, bits of graphics. I think it's MIP mapping that causes it. Filtering as well, I guess, bilinear filtering, but depends what how you're drawing it, I guess. But anyway, the point is I want buffers. But I also want things to be like 64 by 64, 32 by 32. It makes it easy for me to imagine how big they're going to be on screen if they can be multiples of these sizes, even if it's up to big. Anyway, one thing is I want a section of this to be just a square, but also I want to save this file. Save as. And I want to save it in Docs, Project 2, New folder, Work, nicely named, and save it as. Default work. And now I want to add a layer. What? Mode, blind space, fill, transparency, okay. Okay, what on earth is this called? This is called a grid. Or grid. And both of these are visible. Working on the grid. View, I'm snapping to the grid. Let's say that I want some things to be like 128 by 128. Maybe that's too big. 64 by 64. That size. So even with an 8 by 8 boundary, there's still quite a lot of space for those sort of shapes. Working on there, pick a different color, like that. Okay, fill that. Undo that because I don't like that color. Something more like this. Okay, fill there. God damn it, I don't like that either. Okay. C, V, V, V. So I'm accepting an 8 by 8 pixel. That's pretty big, but should it in the past I might have gone for 4 by 4. Anyway, I'm sure all this could be sorted later. Now, the main point of this is to just have a space and work on things. And one thing that I need, now working on the actual image, what I want to be the actual image, is oops, gosh darn it, I hate things. A square. And one thing I kind of want is a circle. It's only 64 by 64, but what the heck. And I also want a cross. And anyone who's seen any of my videos before knows that I'm great at stuff like I'm totally awful at using this kind of tool. Good enough. That is to indicate an unassigned image. Now, what is the next thing? To save this, to show only that, to export as default work pung. That is what I want. And it could go in work for now. I don't know about any of this stuff. I'm just gonna go, yeah, do it. Advanced. Whatever. So, that doesn't leave me anywhere very sensible. Now managed objects, this is one thing I am very confused about. Windows, products, Jira cursor, code. Alright, okay, I'm now looking at the wrong thing. But can I figure it out by looking at this? Data, no. Code. Oh, I'm so confused. Cursor. Is that GUI? Okay, it's in GUI where GUI monkey managed objects. Oh, okay. Right, okay. Pardon my brain turning into mush before your very eyes. Let me get back to editor current 2020 code. Managed objects default. Okay, so in the place where the code is, I can put the things and they'll end up in the right place. Boy oh boy, this is the sort of stuff I quickly forget. But so in here, no, in somewhere else. Fine, to go here, program, code, so I can go there as well. Whoops. What am I even doing? I'm trying to get this from this to be copied into here. Because it's inside code that sys is going to open default work. Actually, sys is going to import default work.pong. And then it's going to use this. The asset load thing. I don't really understand it, but I'm going to use it anyway. I guess it's part of the functionality that makes it so cross-platformable. So what sys has among these things is also a default material. Image equals, let me just continually look back. Okay, so I'm actually, I don't load any images, I load textures. And they're M textures, I hate that. Let me go back and see what image equals image load dot asset colon default work dot pung dot comma shader. This is going to be okay, well, first off I'm doing this in totally wrong place. This belongs here. actually this. I think actually does belong here as well. I don't think I can do it out here. I think that the shader has to be initialized after a canvas open or something like that. I don't know. And for what it's worth, this can also come down here. That can be cleaned to there. Load shader, right, yeah, sprite shader. Texture flags. In this one, the default texture is the default material filter map, and I think I'm going to say the same. Texture flags filter map. There's a problem. Expecting end of line. You got it, baby. Now, there's also some images that can be used, which are square image. Now, how do I really want to... Because every time I talk about an image from now on, I'm really going to be meaning an image rect. And that's really not good. Can I really say square IR? Infrared? Square. Really, that's what that means. And circle image rect, and cross image rect. Okay. And another part of initializing this is initialize system images. The next bit of this will be initializing the system font, but anyway, that doesn't have to come very soon. So let's just do that, which is to say square image equals new image rect default material, and let's just really upset the whole world by having a little look at this. Now for the square, I'm actually going to start right in here. I'm going to say it's 16, 888, and it's 48 by 48. 16, what did I say, 188? 888, and it's 48 by 48. Circle image equals new image rect default material, and it, I'll turn this on, starts at 888, and it is going to be 64 by 64. And cross image equals new image rect default material, 8952 and 64 by 64. So in theory that provides some images which can be used in default situations, and the first is this. Image equals, god damn it, is it built into image? Have I just I have a funny feeling I might have wasted a lot of time here, but I don't actually care that much. What I've coded will still work. I can't even be bothered finding out. I've got so far through it. Image if you don't pass in any image, will I just make it? That you get a section of the default image, or will I make it that that you really do just get the cross? I think I will. I think I'll say image equals a... Okay, first off, this actually means image rect. No, it doesn't. It means image. And this also, if not image, image equals... What on earth am I doing? Okay, I'm setting this up to be the same as cross. Basically, it's like this is for when you're... Excuse me for being an imbecile. Image equals... Sorry, I'm getting distracted because I'm realizing where I'm building some sort of safety in here, which level I'm doing it at, which is like, you're never, most of the time you're going to be making sprites with image rects. Stop getting distracted. Image equals default material. X equals whatever it was. Equals 8. Y equals 952. Width equals 64. Height equals 64. And I guess that this actually probably goes down here. It's pretty much relevant. And then image equals I. Then I do this, which is x1 equals x divided by image width. Y1 equals y divided by image height. X2 equals x plus width. Does it make any difference doing that? Or am I a fool? Doesn't make any difference doing it before and after and everything. Just in case. A float of that. That's the float of that. Divided by the float of image width. Y2 equals the float of y plus the float of, oh, get lost, the float of height divided by the float of image height. Okay. Something like that. Yeah. Oh, this equals this default material. And this I should make into I should skip this. I shouldn't do this bit if this happens. For starters, it should be that I equals this default material. Okay, for what it's worth, I will just leave it at that. So, now, when you knew a sprite, now, what are some things? Some things are that a sprite can have a handle. Divided up this way, there are the graphics and there are their form being their position, scale, angle. In the larger version of my code, sprites had a width and height, distinct to their sort of resolution. So whatever the size of the piece of texture you were using, you could say this sprite is 64 units wide, and following that it's scaled, and I actually think I may need to do that. Excuse me. It's sort of beneficial to be able to do that, because an object can be part of the tree if an object's parent is scaled to be double its size. You know, you may want an object's parent to have a certain size, but a scale of 1. So that, yeah, in fact I do need to do it. The handle and the size. Both of those separate from the size of the image and, you know, distinct from the scale provided by the form. Oh, this is just slow going. Anyway, it's actually time to take a break, easily. This is haphazard, and I wouldn't say I'm pleased with how well I'm describing what I'm doing, but I'm reasonably pleased with how it's going. I mean, these are just the parts it needs to function. It's not too out of hand yet. What I will be doing shortly is completing the sprite graphic. Yeah, I'm looking at it, thinking about it, yeah, I can see the parts of its functionality it needs. There are many things that could be done, but anyhow, for the time being I'll leave it at that. Next time, completing the sprite.